if you send your kid with $5 to school for lunch, and everybody does, is every kid going to end up with $5 at lunch? Or some people going to beg and take $5? I need more milk. Or some people going to steal lunch money. You know what I'm saying? Like Lord of the Rings hierarchies, they form within 5-year-old social groups.
No, that's actually been debunked several times. So there's this idea that if you leave kids alone, that it's going to eventually lead to Lord of the Flies, right? Like,
what did I say? Did I say Lord of the Rings?
You said Lord of the Rings.
Did I say Lord of the Rings?
I just thought you wanted to go
I
to the
knew
Shire.
what you meant. Yeah.
I didn't.
I might.
Yeah, so it's going to turn into Lord of the...
Thank you for translating me
Yes.
for the world out there.
You're welcome. So it's going to inevitably turn into Lord of the Flies, and there's going to be chaos, and eventually some kind of hierarchy is going to be formed, right? And like the kids are going to be really shitty to each other, essentially. They've done this, and a lot of times with girls too, but they've done it with boys, and it depends on the kid, and it depends on the groups. Like they have done it very successfully where the older ones would start like designating roles and responsibilities and jobs, and they would start figuring out lunch, and it started to really function in a beautiful way. And you have to ask yourself, what is the inherent nature of human, right? Because we only have these tiny snapshots, and we've had this little experiment going on for the last few hundred years where we actually kind of have gotten like so far removed from our actual nature, right? We've like been trying to force domesticate ourselves in a lot of ways. And it's like if you were to go back in time where you had multi-generational homes or homesteads, or you were spending all of this time in nature and you were working and you were exhausted and you were hunting and you were gathering, and you didn't have one deity, right? Like you were honoring everything. Like you were honoring nature, you were honoring several different kinds of gods. And that's going to sound crazy to some people, but we were more tapped into spirituality, into actual essence of what God and love was. And I think that was our nature. And what we've been doing now, I think, is more inhumane and more out of alignment. And I know this is probably sounds like really heady or weird. I'm sorry if it does, but I think if we were to raise kids more intentionally, more lovingly, not on this consumer model that we've been on, I don't know. I think we'd be better off. Like I don't know
That
if that answers the
egalitarian
question.
UBI communism, it's only going to work if you could somehow breed out parts of human nature. If you can breed out jealousy, if you can breed out resentment, if you can breed out comparison and competition, because. And you know, you could probably speak to this more, but what a lot of people don't realize about communism is that it works really well for like 6 or 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's great until the party ends. And then they realize like, oh, we need a janitor. Well, I don't want to be a janitor. I signed up to be the poet. I put in for rock star, you know, and no, somebody's got to clean up the mess. Okay, I'll clean up the mess. For money. Yeah. You know, like, well, if you're not cleaning up, I'm not cleaning up. Well, if he's not cleaning up, I'm not cleaning up. And the system collapses. Mm-hmm. That simply. The cascading effect of if they're not doing it, I'm not doing it. Unless you could breed that out.
That's actually what Marx wanted, by the way. It was like the breed or brainwash, but the idea was that humans would have to fundamentally transform in order to make life or work would become the true purpose of their life. But by work, what he really meant was like the peasant work, right? The work he didn't want to do. Yeah, all the janitor stuff, the dirty jobs that Mike Rowe signs up to do, but he didn't have to do. But that for a TV show, right? The stuff that nobody is like growing up as a kid and is like, what I want to be is the guy who cleans up dog poop, you know, but that has to happen, right? And so the money solves that problem.
Well, the problem is like this is not new. You do say like 200 years, but Aristotle was talking about society cannot evolve to its potential unless everybody understands that there has to be a slave class. We talk about Aristotle like he's a genius. If you read Aristotle, he's a fucking lunatic. He's nuts. A lot of the stuff he says would be considered fucking asinine. But, you know, he's put forth as this, you know, great model thinker. And in many ways, he's the founding father of fascism and in, you know, totalitarianism. He's like, listen, guys, there's some elites. I'm not going to say it's phrenology, but like there's some other people like they got to be slaves, you know? And that's Aristotle. You know, so like the fact that we've evolved past that place where like even as our society, as messed up as it is, there's kind of a place for everybody now in Western society. Like we focus on the fact that our system is imperfect, and we really try to fix these imperfections, but we never look at like what's going on and going like, fuck, man, we've kind of figured some shit out here. Like we got a pretty good thing going on here. Famine, gone. You know, we have an obesity problem, right? Like, can you imagine the history of humanity if you could have gone back in the Roman times when they were like desperate to try to get grain shipments from across the Mediterranean and be like, check it out, bro, in 1,000 years, everybody's gonna be so fat. Like, it's gonna be nuts. You know, and they'd be like, no way. Be like, yeah, man, it's gonna be nuts. Like, people are gonna be so fat, like, there are gonna be these things called stretch zones that open up where other people have to touch your toes for you. Like, get the fuck out of here. There's no way. We did it. We solved it.